Okay, I'm gonna try to tackle about a book worth of information in about 10 minutes. I don't know if it's possible, but I'll do my best. Okay, this is pertaining to the cognition dynamics of maintaining a tyranny. So, I'm going to look at different developmental stages of consciousness, integrate that with how a ruling class would maintain a tyranny. I first didn't know if I should be presenting this because I think it could be used quite negatively, but I hope it's not. So here's some footnotes. Typically, the ruling class is about 1 or even 2 cognition stages beyond the majority of the people. Why is this? It's typically the case that to be a leader, you have to understand the kind of ways of thinking that the vast majority of people are at. So you have to be above that to some extent. We'll get back to the nitty-gritty of development in a bit, but that's an important point to keep in mind. That said, there is a historical trend for individuals to have low morals that are in leadership positions. Well, and there's some great leaders that have high morals. What typically doesn't happen, in my opinion, is that you get conventional morals for a leadership position. It's typically either quite high moral leadership or quite low moral leadership. Not kind of the average. That's my opinion. You'd have to think about that a little bit yourself. Why would that be the case? But it is possible at any stage of development to pull a Darth Vader move. So climb and climb and climb it, and then you just start doing something pretty crazy, and that's possible at any time. Okay, so I'm going to be using Ken Wilber's alteration of spiral dynamics. Very close to spiral dynamics, just I prefer his version slightly more. So infrared is the kind of magenta in spiral dynamics, and infrared is kind of magical thinking. In my model, it is pre-mind in a sense. It has 20. If you think of that 25, 50, 25%, whereas your average mode is kind of emotional in this particular one, but you still have kind of flashes of mind coming down that I am a self, but it's still very magical. You put on a mask and you think you've become that person. So at this stage, it's not you're not cognitively developed enough to really start a tyranny. This is for the ruling class. But if you're on the ruled class, you're very susceptible to tyrannical rule because you don't know what's happening to you. So you don't really know that you're a you, so you're very easy to control. You still feel like you shouldn't be controlled, but it's very easy to control a person in infrared space. At red, tyranny results from sheer willpower alongside kind of this magic of the mind, if you will, the strength of the magic of one's mind alongside kind of one's power. And then for those being in the ruled class, you know that you're an I, and you fear that I being killed or enslaved or whatever. So it's actually probably the fear that's binding you into a tyranny in this particular situation. At the amber level of development, you regulate power. If you're in the ruling class, you regulate that power by creating a particular lineage, wherein you are the chosen one within that lineage, direct from the creator or something. You are the one. Your family. There's divine incarnate in you to be the leader, kind of thing, and that passes on to children. Often it's kinship. So it appeals to a guide beyond humans being in ultimate control. So you're not appealing to it anymore. Like you think that this individual here is your God instead of a transcendent God. And so you're putting all your faith into that individual as the ruler. It allows them to be the tyrannical person. Kill them. Sort of, you're putting all the control into an individual instead of something more transcendental. In orange, you internalize power to secret societies if you're in the ruling class, and teachings that are fragmented but hierarchical. So you only provide so much information. You keep it very secret sex, and you fragment it so people don't get all the information at once. And so it's very pyramidal, and you only release so much information as they go up. So that there's very few people that has the understanding of the whole. how the whole secret society works. And then on the orange side, you're not following the power money trail logically and allowing and simultaneously you're allowing democratic systems to be eroded. That's how tyranny can take place in an orange, rational system. In a green, pluralistic system, you include those rules below. That is, you try to still somewhat maintain a sort of lineage. You want to kind of have these secret societies, but simultaneously you want to kind of put thought police and sensitive cops out there, so that if you hurt somebody's feelings, you can be not only maybe imprisoned for it, but tortured or even killed for it. So extreme forms of thought policing, the Orwellian state of propaganda and spin to like a crazy extent, allows tyranny. The more spin, the more tyrannical it can be, alongside those gridded secret society networks. And then in the green side, you're not protesting injustices that you can see in the plain day. You can see in the third world the injustices being done, and there's maybe not enough people out there voicing this, you know. And then in teal, this is the beginning of the integrating systems. You streamline and integrate all that which went before, and you flow with the chaotic changes to allow your tyrannical system to be maintained. So if somebody intercepts a problem, you hit it at the level that you need to. If it's something at the orange stage of somebody understanding something in the secret society, then you counter it with a new logical spin. Or if it's in the amber, you're going to maybe try to build up other networks that are lineages that kind of mesh with the one that you want to maintain. So it's flowing with all these different dynamics to maintain your tyranny, which would be very difficult, but it's plausible for sure. And then in teal, if you're at a teal world space and you're allowing tyranny, you're allowing it through the complexities of the tyranny to make you apathetic. Just too much. You can't take on the weight of this. It's just too heavy for you, psychologically speaking. And then in the turquoise space, if you're in the ruling class, which is high-level vision logic, intro into kind of spiritual intelligences, you're beginning to use psychic warfare. You're invading people's psychic space, introducing subliminal messaging. You're maybe even astral projecting, creating up astral barriers and these sorts of things. I believe that. Actually, I know it quite certain that there is this sort of thing at least possible. And then on the turquoise side, you become frightened existentially. You're existentially like, this is too much for your existence space. And in the dream space too, it's like if you enter into the dream and there's like these psychic warriors taking you on, it's just too much. Okay, so now I'm going to connect this with another element that you need to really make a tyranny, and that is negation of the subjective and intersubjective spaces, or near negation. So I believe that there's goodness, truth, and beauty as fundamental tenets of the universe. If there are, then how has it been the case, essentially, that we've been reduced to just the truth, that is, objectivity? You can explain it away as a historical co-collective act in negating the mythical world space, that is, the old religious dogma. I think that's partly true, but I think it was regulated in such a way and spun in such a way, not allowing really deep conversations of spirituality to really manifest. Things like Future of the Body by Michael Murphy, I think, is an exceptional book that should show almost anybody about the psychic capacities that are within humans, that is radically scientifically documented. Hundreds of pages, well, I think this one has about 100 pages of footnotes, or maybe even more. You know, almost unquestionable. And then on the other side of it, you know, so debunking 9/11, 9/11 debunking, a really strong case for at least showing that there's cover-ups. you don't want to say, like, it doesn't go so far as to say that it was an inside job, but it certainly shows that there's cover-ups. This is an interesting book called The Rise of the Fourth Reich. I'll just read it quickly. Throw out everything you know about history, close the approved textbooks, turn off the corporate mass media, and wherever you don't believe anything you hear from the government. The Rise of the Fourth Reich reveals the truth about American power. In this explosive expose, the legendary Jim Marrs explores the frighteningly real possibility that today in the United States, an insidious ideology thought to have vanquished more than half a century ago is now flourishing. At the end of World War II, ranking Nazis, along with their young and fanatical protégés, used the loot of Europe to create corporate front companies in many countries, worming their way into corporate America. They brought with them miraculous weapon technology and helped win the space race, but they also brought their Nazi philosophy based on authoritarian premise that the end justifies the mean, including an unprovoked wars of aggression and curtailment of individual liberties, which has since gained an iron hold in the land of the free. Jim Marrs has gathered compelling evidence of the effort that has, in the last 60 years, brought National Socialism to modern America, creating, in essence, a new empire of Fourth Reich. Cheers.